into a new career with our internship program. So that's going to be my area of expertise to chat with you all. But I know that a lot of you are rooted in cybersecurity, tech world. And while I wish I was a software developer and programmer at my core, that is not my background. I can talk for days. So I brought a couple experts with me today who are going to talk to you about their background. Specifically, we're going to talk about cybersecurity at Lumen at a high level. We have Jessica here who's going to talk about kind of what the sales looks like of that, and she just has a lot of expertise and knowledge. We also have our senior director, our threat response portion of Lumen with cybersecurity. Mark is going to talk a little bit today and open up the opportunity for you to ask him questions. He's a resource and wealth of knowledge, and that way you can really get to understand your future within our company could potentially look like, right? And just continuing to network and grow your knowledge within the cybersecurity realm can never hurt. So I'm going to pass it over to Mark, who's going to be joining us via Zoom because he is in Colorado. But we'll go ahead and let him talk a little bit. Mark, can you give me a thumbs up if you're ready? All right, let's go.
Thanks, Molly. Hey everyone, Mark Diaz. I help lead, as Molly alluded to there, I help lead Black Lotus Labs, which is a cybersecurity research organization within Lumen. I'll just give a brief introduction, kind of history to it. I'm getting a little bit of an echo there. Is it just me, or I will ignore it? I'll give you a little brief intro of the history of the team, kind of a little bit how I came to the team and just cybersecurity. Kind of talk about what we do, some of our research. I'll try to keep it short to maybe 15 minutes or so. And I want to spend a lot of time just helping answering questions y'all all have. So please feel free to stop me, interrupt, and ask tons of questions. I taught at the University of Colorado Boulder for 7 years, so I'm very much welcoming of questions. So anyways, just real quick, for Black Lotus Labs and Lumen in general, what we do is we're a major telecommunications provider. There's a lot of the internet traffic that goes through our network. According to an independent research organization, CADA, which is a independent organization that kind of looks at the interconnectedness of the internet and which ISPs are the most peered and which ISPs are the most connected. And the autonomous system or the network that Lumen operates is ranked #1 with far lead. We see a significant amount of internet traffic going through our network. Black Lotus Labs kind of started in 2014-ish timeframe, where Level 3 was the company at the time, but had merged with Global Crossing. This network kind of came together and became a kind of a interesting opportunity to see, well, hey, what can we do with some of our network capabilities? What can we do with the visibility that we could have through something called NetFlow? I will pause and try to see if bidirectional communications are working here, but who knows what NetFlow is, or IPFix, or SNMP, or any network management protocols? It's really hard to see any of the students, any of the folks, but if someone knows what it is, just shout out what NetFlow is. I may have lost audio.
The question is, Mark, what is NetFlow, right?
Yep.
What is NetFlow? Does anybody know what NetFlow is? Anyone? Or IPFix?
Oh, we've got one hand raised.
We got one hand
from the dean.
From the dean. Go ahead. Answer. What is it?
No, just simply I understand Internet Protocol IP. That's why I said yes.
Oh, yeah. He says he understands it, yeah.
Yes.
Got it, okay.
That's the way I know that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, explain.
Well, cool. Well, I'll give so just it's kind of like call detail records of the internet. It's a very high level kind of summaries of this host talk to this host, right? And so through those summaries, it doesn't have any of the details of like the communications that were exchanged, like the data by any means, but through the summaries, we can gain insight into threat infrastructure, like new threat infrastructure as it's being brought online before the threat's even used it as an attack. And so that becomes a really powerful capability. And so that was kind of the formation of Black Lotus Labs at Lumen. It was this cybersecurity research opportunity that we saw. Using this visibility, we can track and identify new threats. We ingest over, to date, it's grown quite a bit. I joined the team in 2015, but it's grown to over 200 billion net flow records a day is what we ingest. It's a very interesting cybersecurity problem and also a very interesting big data problem. We have spent many, many years on the software development side learning how to optimize some of these queries and analytical capabilities to make the analyst's job of hunting threats as easy as possible, right? So, overall, in terms of the number of threats that we're tracking over 2 million threats per day. And not only do we track, but we also see with the visibility that we have a responsibility to help disrupt. And so we make efforts to block threats across our network. When we do that, they have difficulties interacting. And so we do up to, on average, 150 disruptions per month of commanding, something referred to as a command and control server. I'll pause and ask a question there. Who knows what a command and control server is? If anyone's brave enough.
Anyone?
Oh my God, nobody took the network class.
Nobody took the network class.
Said, oh no, no one took the networking class.
Or I'm just putting everybody in the spot and everyone's all nervous and doesn't want to raise their hand.
It's the teacher coming out in you. You're asking questions.
I love that. Keep going.
So yeah, a command and control server for something called a botnet is something that is kind of the component that a threat will use to control the botnet. So malware gets infected on someone's laptop or home computer or any other number of device. It's going to report back to some kind of control infrastructure that's in the hands of the threat that's going to tell it to do something. Send spam, distribute more malware, launch a DDoS attack, a denial of service attack, right? And so the command and control servers, when we disrupt them, it has a huge impact to the botnet. And over the years, we have had some really great success. We'll try another question here. How do you guys remember the internet going out in 2016 because of a botnet called Mirai? Like there was a big, like Netflix was down, GitHub was down. Does that ring a bell for anybody? Oh yes, I saw a hand that time. Awesome, good job. So that was due to a threat, which was a botnet, a DDoS botnet. There's a really interesting Wired article about the two authors of that malware. But our team, this was some of the early foundations and formations of this team. This is one of the first things that we tracked. We learned about Mirai before most of the industry even knew Mirai was a thing. And so we had gained a lot of successful insights in that, and we developed a lot of automated code that would take Mirai command and control servers down. So that's kind of where some of our foundations began. The team grew in maturity in terms of what we tracked. So like there's scales of sophistication when it comes to threats. There are threats that are very unsophisticated. So they're kind of referred to as script kiddies, or folks that will download malware off of GitHub or other places and then go run that. Just as is, they don't really know what they're running and they're just kind of cobbling stuff together. Then there's kind of criminal organizations. You can think of like AWS, but for the threats on the internet, meaning there's criminal organizations that will distribute malware for folks. I want to run a banking Trojan across 2,000 machines on the internet. I give the threat a little bit of money and then they go run it for me, right? And so there's criminal organizations that use it for financial gain. And the far end of the spectrum for sophistication, there's APTs, or nation state threats. These are threats that are sponsored by nation state governments with specific objectives of espionage or destruction or whatever else that might be for the nation's gain. And so we've kind of over the years evolved. We spent a lot of time, we published a lot on Emotet and TrickBot and QuackBot, which are really, they started as banking Trojans, meaning it's malware that would get distributed and then run on computers and collect banking credentials or do other things that would try to steal money. But they quickly pivoted into, well, hey, we did a lot of work setting up this infrastructure to distribute our malware. Let's see if we can sell that as a service, almost kind of like, again, AWS, right? And so, and some of these criminal organizations put a lot of effort into how they run things and how quickly they can stand up new control infrastructure as it's taken offline or discovered by researchers. And so it's almost like, hey, if they chose to not have a life of crime, they might actually do well in the world. But then and so we spent a fair amount of time with that. The last couple of years has been heavily focused on something called nation state threats. The team has made a lot of really great progress there over the last couple of years, tracking some malware, reverse rat, and then kind of pivoting into what has been the recent trend, scary trend that we've been finding. We have found nation states have been hiding and finding very obvious and easy places to plant malware, places that aren't being monitored very often and are very ripe for abuse and also setting up sophisticated kind of proxy networks where they can tunnel traffic through these devices, and it looks to the victims as if it's coming from my house or someone else's house down the street. How many of you run a router at home, like a Linksys or a D-Link or Comcast or router or whatever else? Or yeah, that's pretty much everybody. If you have internet at home, you have a router. Netgear is another vendor, but what we found in particular, this question, if someone raises their hands, someone should, like, I used to give out candy as rewards for answering questions, but don't have any on hand. Or if Mollie's got some, she can share some. But who has heard of Volt Typhoon and some of the recent activity that's been in the news around nation state activity backed by the People's Republic of China? Is anyone familiar with? One person? All right. So this threat that we were tracking, we uncovered, we believe was sponsored by the People's Republic of China, had very tight ties to Volt Typhoon. We called it KV Botnet. And so this threat was effectively exploiting home routers at end of life. Like these were things that were many, many years old, and no security patches available, meaning they had some vulnerabilities and were sitting out on the public internet, as all routers do. And they were exploiting them for purposes of managing malware that was being planted in critical U.S. infrastructure. And so one of the neat recent accomplishments for the team was around uncovering that, but also the Department of Justice. We, as a responsible internet service provider, we reported some activity that we found to the U.S. government. And the Department of Justice took action. One of the it's the fourth nation-state takedown of a nation-state threat done by the U.S. government. There's some done with Hafnium, a few other similar things as well in the past, but it was really an awesome accomplishment for the team to not only block something across our network, uncover something, block it on our network, but also have the Department of Justice take action to clean it up, issue commands to actually shut down all the U.S. infrastructure or sort of the malware that was running on U.S. infrastructure and U.S. soil. So really, really awesome actions to see. So that's kind of overview of the team. Maybe briefly just give a quick background how I landed where I'm at, what I'm doing. I started as a really young age with an interest in computers and cybersecurity. I, as a teenager, enjoyed and was very fascinated by something. At the time, there was something called the ping of death, Windows 95. You could send a ICMP ping with a certain byte size and just cause a computer to crash, right? And so a lot of things like that, to me at the time, were very fascinating, that, hey, you could do that and, mess with friends, have fun, and things along those lines. And so I had an early start into some of the cybersecurity phases, but also spent a fair amount of time just in networking. For quite a few years, spent time helping set up, this will date me, ISDN and frame relay links as a field technician, but also really gravitated towards software. And to me, like, software has a really great overlap with cybersecurity. Software and understanding how software works and the machine down to even low levels can make for a really powerful ability to understand how a threat is operating. And so, or how you can automate some of the actions to accomplish threat research or other things. And so I spent a fair amount of time invested in interest in software, went to undergrad in Florida and Florida Gulf Coast University, small institution, but did my grad at University of Colorado Boulder in computer science. And so from there, spent a little bit of time in industry, went back, taught full time for 7 years, and then had an opportunity to come up where a former student told me about this cool, it was called Threat Research at the time, but this cool team called Threat Research. And I actually joined to take a little bit of a break from being an extrovert and take on a security engineering role on the team, and had a lot of fun doing that for a little while, but it didn't last too long. So now here I am helping lead the team and just kind of step in leadership. So that's a little bit of my journey to where I'm at today at Lumen. With that, I will. I think it's probably been about 15 minutes, so I will shut up and let you guys ask some questions.
About Black Lotus Labs. Yeah.
Yes. What is his role at the current workplace? What is the daily in charge? And he's driving what things for company?
Yeah. So the question is, what exactly is your role? Like, what helps to make the company thrive and get to where it's at?
Great question. So my role is a technical people leader. The entire Black Lotus Labs team rolls up under me. And so that's my role. And my role really is I've learned to I do fun technical things on the side to kind of keep myself occupied with that. And I try to actually stay out of the work that the team does as much as possible, and allow them, create a space for them where they can find interesting technical challenges that are also at the intersection of the business impact. So that's my role. Now I can answer the question. I'll use that to also kind of answer the question of what is Black Lotus Labs' role within Lumen, and like how does Black Lotus Labs help benefit Lumen? Well, there's a couple of things. So one, just cleaning up the threats on the internet makes the overall ecosystem of the internet better. When we remove DDoS botnets, the internet performs better. Our network performs better, right? So we have a function of helping protect the network and the wider internet as a whole. There is some categories of threats that we just can't block across the internet. Sometimes, some of you guys have probably heard of WordPress. It's kind of like a commonly used word site packaging software. And so people who have WordPress sites on the internet that get infected with malware, and they get used as command and control servers. So we choose not to block stuff like that on the network because it can have collateral damage. But we work hard to integrate a lot of those capabilities into some of our cybersecurity products that businesses can purchase. And so those products that they purchase, we load in the entirety of all the things that we recommend should be blocked. We might not block all of them across our network because some collateral damage, but we empower businesses with those opportunities through our cybersecurity products to choice. Hey, there's a WordPress site that's infected with malware. Do you want to allow your employees to visit that, right? No, by the way, we're the only ones that have that visibility into those certain threats. And so we can help protect you from things that other organizations, other companies can't. And so that's where Black Lotus Labs is a very key product differentiator for our cybersecurity services and products. Good question. I hope I answered it well.
Is if you are looking for new team member,
Yeah.
kind of hiring somebody, what are you looking for?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. So if we're hiring for someone, what are we looking for? Yeah, I've been hiring this team since 2016 for a wide range of roles, from software development to data scientists to security analysts, and what we're looking for, varies depending on the specific role. But overall, the kind of the key things that I've found for success in terms of like when someone's, they have both an aptitude and an interest. And also can they learn independently. It's like someone who demonstrates all three of those things, to me, are the folks that have been the most successful in the team, regardless of whatever technologies or skill sets they come on board. I personally didn't know big data coming into it, and I learned a lot about it in the first year, and I really loved it. That was definitely one of the better times of my career, was learning some of the technologies that we were using here. And so, I think it speaks volumes to, when applying for jobs or looking for internships, talking about some of the things, at least that I found, like that you are passionate about, that you enjoy from a technology perspective, why you enjoy it, and being able to show that in side projects and other things. I personally still keep some side projects going on my own. I got a bunch of ESP32s, and I do some embedded system stuff, and help out with a conference in Arizona. And so, that to me is a better indicator of success generally than do they check mark these boxes. But again, always depends on what's being looked for. Obviously, more senior positions, we do look for things of many years of experience and demonstrated success and things on those lines. But yeah, the ability to learn, the aptitude, and the interest are huge factors in success, in my opinion, and at least in this industry, anyways.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Mark mentioned one good point, that there is an overlap of software engineering and cybersecurity. So while working in the software engineering, we tend to focus more on the product, like efficient products and the application level, and less on the networking side. There isn't some focus on networking side, but not that much. So someone who wants to transition into cybersecurity, what should the path look like? How should we proceed going deep into the networking side from the software engineering to the cybersecurity?
Okay, I think I got it. So the question is, the program and the university you guys are at now, the software is covered really well, but wondering about the networking aspect, how important is that, and how to get into more of the understanding from the network perspective. Did I capture that right? Okay, yep. Oh man, network perspective. I've always been a proponent of self-learning. So that comes a little bit of my background. I don't admit this often because I was picked on as a kid very much for it, but I was homeschooled actually. And that was something that ended up to be socially okay somehow, despite the stereotypes. But the thing that's really key for me is just being able to learn independently, and I have a good reason why I'm framing that. There is tons of resources online that I would point to. Man, I'm trying to remember the name. There's online network simulators and labs. I can't remember, the name is escaping me right now, but I can probably send some follow-up resources. Or if you go hit up web search online network labs simulator or online network labs, working through just some of the basic Cisco CCNA labs. You can do some of that stuff online. You can even go hit up eBay and go find some really old gear for $100, set up a lab at home, and kind of figure out like, okay, I want to set up 5 computers on a network, and how do I get them to work? And I want to set up a couple switches, and I want to set up a router in between, and kind of the labs can give you some direction towards that. There's certainly plenty of online resources for like Cisco CCNA and things like that, and just studying in general towards CCNA that's where I got a lot of my networking experience from. Is a great way to if you need some structure or want some structure for that, like that's a good path to kind of spend 3 to 6 months pursuing down. It's helpful to in the cybersecurity industry have a general awareness, especially in looking to work in the telecom space, and that having a general awareness of how the internet works, how networks communicate together, the protocols involved from my local network, DHCP and some of the things in terms of how IP addresses get assigned to BGP and some of the wider stuff. But just a general level of knowledge is good. And again, a little bit of time spent studying for a CCNA or taking some CCNA material can be beneficial. And that's something that I personally found was helpful. That help answer your question? If not, I can elaborate more, but.
No, that got it. Any other questions?
I had one that Mark was talking about, was the way they tracked the malware and took it over to the Department of Justice. I'm just wondering what percentage of the malware that you're seeing is leading to a potential, if not realized, ransomware attack?
Yeah, good. So the question is, what percentage of malware are we seeing or observing is leading to ransomware attacks? The stuff around the Department of Justice actions recently weren't related to ransomware. I don't know if I have a specific percentage I can give off the top of my head, but I'll answer it this way. So a lot of the nation state objectives are heavily focused around espionage and disruption. So if we look at some of the stuff that occurred with Ukraine during the Russian invasion, there's some malware called Destroyer, which was a malware that was intended to be implanted in power plants and other different critical infrastructure with the sole purpose of taking the infrastructure offline. Ransomware has a little bit of overlap to that, where, hey, we take it offline. Like if you look at the example, the Colonial Pipeline, which was a big event in the news a few years back. But hey, we want to do and extort you for money tends to be more of criminal organizations, and that's where I think from some of the malware that we've traced, like QuickBot or Crackbot, Emotet, TrickBot, and a few of those others, more criminally oriented, are focused on financial gain. There's also some DDoS threats that will do not ransomware per se, but where they will say, hey, that's a beautiful website you have running. It'd be a shame if it went down around Christmas time or shopping time, and say, well, we won't launch that DDoS attack with you if you send us, 5,000 Bitcoin or something ridiculous. And so, we've seen a fair amount of that as well. But like I said, a percentage, I don't know if I have something just off the top of my head, but as of late, a lot more of the trends, especially with some of the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Chinese government, a lot of it's been nation state activity driving with some specific objective towards that. So.
And Jessica was saying there is a report.
There's the report that we do for every quarter, the quarterly threat intelligence report. There's some data and statistics in there that they can download online. And then your Black Lotus Labs, the blog blacklotuslabs.com. So if you want to post that in the chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, so good. I will post a link here real quick to the, let me find if I can.
So it's all available, so you can take a look at it afterwards.
It looks like I have access to chat. So Molly, I'll send it to you if you want to share it.
To put in there.
Cool.
Any other questions for Mark?
Yeah, I have a question.
Perfect.
Yeah, so how does cyber security internship look like? How would they? It's like if we become we become an internship in cyber security. So how does they look like?
Yeah. So what does a cybersecurity internship look like in your org, Mark?
Oh yeah, good question. We've been a sponsor of a few different interns, and we've had some successful folks that have actually converted to full time. So I will highlight there's a few different, it just depends on the year and team availability and things along those lines, but we've had interns that are focused on kind of cybersecurity research. So, hey, trying to pick apart and working with some analysts and picking apart how a botnet works or looking at statistical anomalies in some of our DDoS insights, right? And so we've had interns around that. We've also had interns, just this past summer, we had a couple interns focused on the intersection of software development and information security. So we had an intern that through the course of the internship developed some software that is tracking, I think it was open proxies. Sorry, I was trying to, there's some work we also did around Memcached, but is tracking open proxies. So proxies are kind of just like software that's intended for the good purposes of taking traffic, running it through another host and then letting it exit. But sometimes they get misconfigured and left open, and threats will use that. And so we have some good insights into a lot of the as mentioned, activity. And so the internship was focused around developing a application with a specific objective, right? And we also had someone on the systems engineering side. I'm trying to recall, that was a little bit longer. I'm trying to recall what the project was, but Oh, we had there was some system performance reporting metrics that we had a gap in our environment, and so the intern at that time who converted to a full-time role in the team had put a lot of effort into trying to understand what metrics are important and how to visualize them such that the engineers could understand, okay, well, we've got, these certain machine learning algorithms that are running slow in the system because a disk somewhere in the cluster is getting hit really hard with a lot of queries because someone did a distributed join incorrectly in code somewhere. And so a lot of the briefly summarize the internships that at least we've done on the team have been heavily oriented towards application-specific problems, right? That are ones that can be set up for success and growth in the career.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I want to be respectful of your time. I know I said 15 minutes to 20, and now we're at 30.
That's all good. I really enjoy getting to talk with folks and getting to ask lots of questions. So
you coming out, feel free to hop, but we're really grateful to just hearing your expertise and bringing your background and sharing your wealth of knowledge with these students. Appreciate you a lot.
Thank you,
awesome.
Mike.
Thank you all. Thanks for the time. Thanks, Molly. Take care.
Students who are on the Teams meeting, we're going to keep rolling. We have, and if we'll get the PowerPoint up. Really quickly, going to do a quick presentation. Just a little bit about Lumen. If you've never heard of Lumen, we are a telecommunications company transitioning into tech. So at our core, 100 years ago, right, like it was telephone services, then it transitioned to home internet services and more. Now we've really transitioned to be a telecom company combining with tech. So at our core, an IT solutions company. So we offer everything from cybersecurity, Black Lotus Labs research to data analytics, business consulting, edge, cloud, AWS services, and more. Really a widespread company. We are not only in the United States, but worldwide. Almost 2/3 of the world's internet actually runs through Lumen's fiber line. So we are really impactful. Anything that you see done on a large scale that's being broadcasted, Lumen is actually typically the provider for. So FIFA World Cup, we help with that. The Super Bowl is happening. We're going to have like 12 to 15 Lumen trucks there. Miss America, whatever you want to watch that's done across the nation or across the world, Lumen actually helps to provide those services. So again, at our core though, solution services. So we can help everyone from a small mom and pop ice cream shop all the way up to the federal government saying, hey, China's trying to hack you right now. So, we work with a variety of customers across the board, and it's really a great opportunity because you really get to diversify your work because we are a very diverse company. So meet our university relations team. This is a team that really helps with early career individuals like yourself. My name's Molly. I'm based out of Birmingham, Alabama. If you can't tell by my accent, I don't think I have one, but I got asked if I was from Australia earlier this year. So apparently I do. But you can see our team spread out all across the United States. What I really like is that it's pretty reflective of Lumen's mindset as a company. Around 75 to 80% of our company is fully remote. So that gives you the opportunity to work from where is best for you. That applies to nationally or internationally too, depending upon the team. Some needs are within the US, but you can see that you're not stuck to an office location, or you're not going to miss out on a role because you're in Seattle and not Virginia, right? You're going to have equal opportunity and be able to thrive where you feel best. So that's just a little bit about Lumen, our team. I'm going to talk a little bit later on about the process of application, internship opportunities, and more. But really quickly, I did want to introduce Jessica. Jessica is with our security sales team. She's a specialist with over 20 years working in the tech industry, and is just, again, like Mark, a wealth of knowledge. So y'all give it up. She's going to come talk just a little bit about cybersecurity and wealth and all that.
I'm going to make it real short. So Mark talked a little bit about the professional services side of our practice, right? The data scientist, the threat intelligence side of the house. I come from a different side of the Lumen umbrella. I support sales sales account teams across the nation. And so different business segments. And over the last 25 years, I've also been a part of the telecommunications industry, working with all of the major carriers, not just Lumen. I have probably started my career as a I want to say product support specialist. You know, let's just think back. I'm thinking back to when we had phones on airplanes, okay? Before there was even a smartphone that existed, right? That's when I started in my career as a sales product support specialist supporting the aviation division for AT&T. Then I moved and I started to learn about network and connectivity. That was almost like at the cusp of when MPLS came out. That is our private networking solution. And it was being rolled out to a lot of the customers across the world, right? Flash forward, years are going by, and you start to see now this rebirth of the Internet of all things, touching everything, everywhere, all over the world, right? So how do we manage that, right? Now we have to protect all of these assets, right? And we have customers who are, you know, a little bit overwhelmed with all of the different things that are going on in the cybersecurity landscape. My role is to help them identify what we can do at Lumen to provide them with protecting their assets, their services, help with advisory services, engage teams within Lumen like Black Lotus Labs with Mark's team, or professional services consultants that we have in the US to support them. And then under my umbrella, we also have a role called technology solutions architects. And these are the folks who specialize in security solutions. Like they understand all the different software solutions out there from all the major providers. And they're helping our internal sales teams sell or design technology solutions for those customers' needs. So like a SASE solution, a zero trust framework. So there's a lot of different roles that you can play in. It's not just sales, right? You can have a specialty in sales where you're interfacing with customers on a regular basis, like myself. You can support sales teams, which is my role, is to support. I kind of have a dual role. I sell security and I support sales teams, right? And then there are knowledge-based experts that help design the solution. So I'm just trying to give you a little glimpse of an expertise in the cybersecurity landscape and support them, support other customers or clients around the world. Any questions? I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
You're talking about a very diverse portfolio and different skill sets, because I'm hearing the combination of somebody who might be initially very technical or someone who's not technical but has a different skill set. So how would you recommend somebody move into your career pathway or work for you?
So say you don't want to actually design or work behind a desk, right? Like and code all day long, right? And you want to be in front of customers all day long, talking to them about what is going on in your business, what are the challenges that you're facing. You can take your knowledge and experience in the cybersecurity landscape, your thought leadership, and bring it to those customers, advise them, consult to them, and then leverage resources within Lumen to support those needs. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Hopefully it answers.
Does it answer everybody's, does everybody understand that? It's a little bit of a different career path. It's not behind the desk doing moves or ads or changes or alerts or incident response or, you know, writing policies and procedures, consultative actual work that you're delivering to a customer. This is you serving business customers and you giving them recommendations on how they can achieve their security initiatives, achieve their business outcomes. You're bringing still all of the experience you have, but it's just taking advantage of your personality. If you like working with people,
if you're a people person, this would be a perfect, another career path for you. So hopefully that helps.
Jessica, your
Sure.
title looks like a sales engineer in semiconductor business. Somebody, they engineer, but they go to the client then, so they are selling their product. So your side, you started from sales, then you embrace security, or you started from security, then you embrace sales.
So
I
started in sales. I directly work with customers for 20 plus years. I had the choice of either going to become a solutions engineer, working specifically on network projects, okay? Which I have a wheelhouse in network, right? I can sell IP networks, SD-WAN, SASE, all of these different things and work with customers to design those networks. Or I can look towards cybersecurity, which is, I feel, more fun, you know? It's emerging, it's an emerging technology. There's a lot happening. There's new things occurring in the landscape, like artificial intelligence, social engineering threats. How does that affect the business customer? I wanted to specialize in that area. So I took some certifications in cybersecurity. I got certified, you know, with Rutgers, did a certification program. I also did there's a lot of free certification courses. If you haven't Googled to take advantage of them, you should. And so get those certs up, learn, specialize, and then just bring that specialty to the table. So it's just very unique, you know, but we do have engineers and we do have architects that all they do all day long is design, you know, networks. They design networks, they design voice services for customers. They do all of those things, but we're talking cybersecurity, which is more specific to SASE, zero trust, advisory services, incident response programs. It's a little bit more specialty within Lumen.
Thank you.
Hopefully that helps. Okay. Any questions? Good. Let's talk about internships.
Yeah. So intern hiring, Lumen's concept is you're not going to be able to build a business without entry-level talent, right? Because if we're constantly promoting from within, who takes these roles? And so we have a really phenomenal internship program at Lumen designed for personal and professional growth. That means that we have weekly events. It's a 10-week fully immersive program, award-winning. 2021, we are recognized as the #1 internship program in the United States. The last 5 years running, we've been recognized as a top 100 internship program across America. That's by Forbes, way up in yellow. So highly recognized brands within the early career space and just within the United States, right? Most people know Forbes. As you look at our program, like what makes it great, right? So first, you're gonna have the opportunity to do real work. Our interns don't run and get coffee. You're never going to be taking out the trash, getting bagels for everyone. You're more than likely going to be remote. So you're not even going to have the opportunity to get bagels. So sorry. Buy your own bagel that morning, though. Our interns, though, get to do really meaningful, impactful work that prepares you to step into the full-time role. Like Mark was talking about, hey, we had an intern who transitioned to full-time. That's the whole purpose of our program. But outside of that, what makes it special? Well, we have a really close-knit intern cohort with the design of our program. So our interns are fully immersed into the Lumen culture. That means you have the opportunity to join our employee resource groups. So I'm a part of Women Empowerment. I'm a part of our Next Gen, which is like our young folks, woo, you know. But I also joined some others that I joined more as an ally. So like our Pride group, our Alliance of Black Technology and Professionals, all that and more. We have 12 ERGs that can benefit you from your background, depending on what you're looking for. Within our program, we have mentorship. So we have people like Mark that come and talk to our interns, senior directors, VPs. Last year, our CEO, Fortune 500 CEO, she has literally so much to do. Set aside an hour for our interns and said, let's don't ask me anything. Just sat down with all of them and was like, what career advice do you need? What do you want to know? What are your goals? And I think that's really unique. You're not going to see that at really big companies typically. Outside of that, we do fun things too, right? Like we tie-dye t-shirts, we have movie nights, We've made dog toys and like mailed them off to animal shelters. Last year we did like a mental health kit for struggling teens, and you could scan the box, and like I got a note that was like, Brady in Palm Beach, Florida is using your box. I'm like, cool. So we do a lot with giving back. So again, it's that well-rounded experience that's going to allow you to grow personally, professionally, and even bring it back academically. Time after time we hear our interns say like, I went back to school and felt like a changed human. Which seems a little bit dramatic, but like you really do learn so much because you're getting that hands-on work. And I think because of that, you see the numbers that Lumen has. So across the nation, companies on average convert anywhere from about 40 to 65% of their interns to full-time employees. Lumen last year was our lowest year in 5 years. We extended offers to 78% of our interns and had a 99% job acceptance rate. The year before that, we offered 95% of our interns with a 93% acceptance rate. So people that work at Lumen want to work at Lumen and stay at Lumen. So I think it's a great feeder and pipeline for you to have that opportunity. A little bit about our program again, talked on the project-based work, networking opportunities. We do hire for summer program only. If you are interested in doing a co-op style internship during the spring or fall, you do have to intern first. So unfortunately, because of how competitive our program is, our summer 2024 program is completely filled, but we will begin recruiting for our summer 2025 program this fall. So looking at timeline, we start recruiting in September and October, interviews in November, and all offers are extended by December. We typically see anywhere from 100 to 200 intern requests. What I love about Lumen, a lot of times you're going to see with these big tech companies is they're going to hire 50 data analysts, right? And they're going to be like, you can go there, you can go there. And you don't get this well-rounded experience. With Lumen, we're super strategic, very particular with our interns, right? Like you're the future of the company. We want you to have a good experience. Therefore, Mark has to come to me and say, Mollie, I want an intern to do X, Y, and Z. And if I'm sitting there thinking like, I wouldn't want to do that as an intern, we'll tell senior directors no. You have to have a very strategic outlook with internships, and that's what Lumen has. So you're again going to get that meaningful and impactful work. So if you are interested in the summer 2025 position, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. We'll be recruiting here shortly. Looking at careers though in general with Lumen, I don't know when all of y'all are graduating. You might be like, girl, I am 3 months out from graduation. I don't want an internship, and I don't blame you. So Lumen has a variety of roles and opportunities available. They are on our Handshake profile, which I know can be popular, but jobs@lumen.com is where you're going to be able to find any and all open roles. The roles are going to be a variety of levels. A couple things to note about our actual jobs website. A lot of times people go to our university relations tab, and while that is great, that is where all of our rotational programs are housed. So like our finance and accounting rotational program, HR solutions engineer, some that might be applicable, but you might miss the software developer 2 role, the senior cybersecurity analyst role that's just posted in the regular portion of our jobs website. So go to that jobs website, search by keywords that interest you and backgrounds, and then you can actually set up job alerts to get alerts daily, weekly, or monthly. You get to determine how much you want Lumen to blow you up, right? Like you're not going to get an email every single day if you don't want that. But if you do, we're happy to do it. We got people who would love to send you emails. So lots of variety of roles and opportunities all within these spaces and more. Looking at our application process, it is a 4-step application process. So first step is going to be to apply. You can apply through our jobs website, LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, any kind of third party. It should route you back to Lumen, jobs@lumen.com. If it is not routing you back, cybersecurity peeps, you might have been hacked. We have seen an uptick of people calling Lumen and being like, hey, y'all offered me a role. And we're like, no, we didn't. And they're like, yes, you did. And it's because people are posing as tech companies. So with Lumen, be wary of that. But with all companies now, if it's not taking you directly back to their jobs website, I would just be cautious. But all that say, apply. Everyone at Lumen is graded an interview. We do not do resume screens, right? So like your resume, because it doesn't have this keyword of like Jira or SQL. I mean, if you don't have that and it's needed for the job, then we've got issues. But it's not going to be automatically screened out. We want to give you the chance to have your own voice, to speak for yourself, your background, your capabilities, and that is what the virtual hire view interview is going to do. So this is a virtual interview, takes about 20 minutes. You can record yourself. You don't even have to do your hair and makeup. You can be laying in bed, and as long as we can hear you, you're going to get to have the opportunity to interview. So make sure that you complete that within 5 to 10 days of your application. The sooner the better. We cannot move forward if you do not complete this. A lot of times I hear kids being like, no, trust me, you're going to want to interview me. I am that good. And I'm like, no, I can't even move your application. Like, it's not possible in our system. So if the position requires a hire view interview, make sure that you complete that. After that, you could be selected to move forward with an interview with a recruiter like myself, one of my talent acquisition peers. This is a high-level overview, 30,000 foot view of the position, expectations, what your day-to-day can look like, and more. And then from there, you could be selected for the last and final round, which is a panel interview. This would be with the hiring manager and team, really getting the nitty-gritty, right? Like fully understanding the role. Because I can hire a cybersecurity intern, but if you're like, Mollie, when I'm doing threat intelligence research, I'm going to be like, no, wrong person. So make sure that you go into certain rounds of interviews. My little tips and tricks I'm about to go into, but with each level of interview, knowing what questions to ask. I think that's a really good thing that a lot of people don't know. I didn't know. But when you're looking at a recruiter interview, high-level questions, panel interview is going to be that closer, like day-to-day work responsibilities. Anything that can be like very intricate, the panel is going to be able to talk to a little bit better than recruiters. You got to keep in mind, we hire for a variety of people. I hire data analysts and I hire content creators all in one round. So, we're spread thin as recruiters and we're not the knowledge expert, owning that completely. So make sure that you're asking those super in-depth questions to those people. But I wanted to give y'all some tips and tricks, some things that you might not know, right? Like, hey, maybe your parents aren't in the tech industry or didn't go to college, or like you don't have this advisor. So I want to be able to offer that to you all. So my first one is networking. This one is hard. Everyone's always like, I feel like it's this hot topic word, like you need to be networking, blah, blah, blah. It's harder than it looks. LinkedIn is going to be your friend. You go to a university that has resources, people that have graduated before you. Don't hesitate to connect with people. I get connection requests all day from people I don't know, but if they say, I went to the University of Alabama, if someone reaches out and is like, hey, like we saw that you went to the University of Alabama. I'm like, I don't know you, but like we're from the same background, right? Like I'll accept that. You've got 51 years of previous graduates from this university that you can do that with on LinkedIn. So continuing to network, utilizing your network when you're applying to jobs. You can go to Lumen and then you can say, who are my connections here? And then you can reach out to Mollie and say, hey, Mollie, just applied to the data scientist role 61563, whatever. And I can say, let me go take a look at that application. I'm happy to do that for y'all. Check it out, see where we're at, see if I'm like, hey, they're already offering another candidate, or you hit it right at the right time. So networking is going to be really important. Second thing is following and trusting the process. The days of applying to like 2 jobs is kind of done with, right? Y'all probably heard a lot about the job market. It's hot, it's challenging. So making sure that you are applying to multiple roles when you're approaching graduation, 2 to 3 months out. Don't wait till the week before. Please don't wait till the week before. Doing internships, but knowing the process of their application. Lumen requires a hire view interview. Other companies might not. So if you find out, hey, I want to apply to Amazon, but they use a resume reader, they screen candidates out, go to the job description. If it says XYZ, you need to make sure that your resume says XYZ on it. Whereas when you're applying to Lumen, you can mention that in your interview. So making sure that you're understanding the process, not missing steps. I don't care if you have a giant whiteboard in your room and it looks like a crazy person, you're tracking with yarn across the board, but making sure that you're checking those steps, right? That you're doing the interviews in a timely manner that allows you to succeed. Understanding how to brand and sell yourself. You're early in your career, so people are going to come to you and say, oh, well, I would like you to have 2 to 3 years of this. So many entry-level positions ask for years of experience. which don't get me started on that. Frankly, makes me angry. I think it's stupid at that point. It's not entry level. But how are you going to go in and say, you know, times the last few questions, you might think, oh, I don't know this answer, and I'm going to poop my pants right now because I'm so nervous. Don't. Just look at them and say, well, I don't know that. I would do X, Y, Z steps to learn it within my first 3 months of working here, right? So knowing how to brand and sell yourself as someone who's a go-getter, who's collaborative, who wants to learn and continue to grow, I think is super important. Like Mark was saying, the qualities I look for in intern are the same qualities he's looking for in a director and a manager, right? A go-getter, a learner, someone who's going to be fully invested in all in. So understanding how to relay that, it's a lot of practice, right? Like if you would have asked me to do this speech 1 week into my job at Lumen 3 years ago, I would have been like, ugh. But now I can do it without even looking at the slide, right? So continuing to practice that. I don't care if you go home and you look in the mirror and you're like, this feels so goofy, but you do it anyways. It's going to help you on interviews. It's going to help you to brand and sell yourself, which is so important to recruiters because you have to stand apart, right? We're talking to 15, 20, 300 people a day. You want to stand out. Utilize free career center. I don't know if y'all have a career center here. Do y'all with the college? Like a resume read? Okay. Well, y'all got some professors. Tap them. They're free. They're paid. You know, this is generally making sure that your resume is readable, that it looks good, it flows well, it's reflective of what you've done, what you continue to do, and more. So make sure that you're utilizing your free services. I get people emailing me all the time being like, can you read my resume? You guys, I get probably 25 to 50 LinkedIn messages a day, and I still have to work. So I don't have time to review a resume, right? If you get a recruiter that can and will, that's amazing, but you're probably striking out. You've got resources here. Ask your professors, talk with one another, right? Like, hey, you got that internship with X company. What did your resume look like? What did your interview look like? Can I ask you questions about that? So last thing is go above and beyond just your schooling. If you think about it right now, if none of y'all have worked in the real world, yes.
I want to back up just a second. We've got something better than a career service. We have associate faculty. I would say that probably 95% of the people who are teaching you are also hiring managers who, we have professionals who are faculty. So we have subject matter experts. We have no tenure here. Yeah. So everything is current. And we have office hours. And our office hours are staffed by these people who are hiring managers who will not only review your resume, they'll tell you how you sound on an interview. And our faculty are sitting there waiting for you to show up. So we got something better than a career center.
Yeah. I mean, you've got firsthand knowledge. That's better than most career centers across the country. Utilize that. Don't take it for granted. I look back at my time and I'm like, I didn't take advantage of that. They're going to give you that amazing advice that a recruiter on LinkedIn that doesn't know you, that doesn't know your background is not going to be able to do, right? So utilize your faculty here who can help you to grow your interview skills, your resume, whatever it looks like. But last thing is go above and beyond your schooling. So like I was saying, if you all step down to undergrad, y'all are all pursuing your master's, right? Yes. Okay, so let's say none of y'all, even if you did work, let's pretend none of y'all worked. All of your resumes, realistically, look very similar. Very similar. So how are you standing out? Y'all being a part of this club checks that box. But like Mark was saying, what are you utilizing? Free online services. Say you don't get an internship this summer. What are you going to do to grow yourself? Are you going to sit at home play video games? Or are you going to start working on some certifications, some things that pop out on your resume that take you from here and the person sitting beside you to here, right? Continuing to grow yourself. I'm not saying y'all should be competing and like dog eat dog in here, but there's so many students looking for jobs. So making sure that you're marketable, you sell yourself, and your resume is reflective of like you being a go-getter, you being a learner, and someone who's inspired to thrive in the tech industry. I think it's super important and super impressive. as a recruiter, I can get someone that's like, yeah, I've got a bachelor's. Or I can get someone that's like, yeah, I've got a bachelor's. I did 3 internships, got 3 certifications. I did this over my Christmas break. I fed the homeless, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, I don't know when you slept, but like, obviously the kid that's like, I graduated and kind of like, and taking this kid that's like incredible. So those are kind of my tips and tricks to help you continuing to grow and develop yourself and to help you step into the real world, get a job. I know it's hard. I know it's challenging. I'm here as a resource the best I can be. So feel free again to connect with me on LinkedIn. As you can tell, I'm not super passionate about resume review, but if you send it to me, I'll try. But I'm here to help that if y'all do have interest in Lumen, I'm happy to assist.
How many of your interviews are behavioral oriented and how many are technical?
So we do not do technical interviews for our internship program. I'm directly aligned to our intern program. That being said, there are some higher level ranking roles that will require a technical interview. The higher view interview, that virtual interview, is behavioral, and then you play games, so it tests your like cognitive reaction times and things like that. It's really interesting. It's beyond my pay scale, but I have to take the higher view to get my role as a program manager. Your interview with the recruiter is typically going to be behavioral, but they might require in between the panel interview and recruiter interview, a technical interview, especially as you look higher up to senior level positions. They'll sometimes require a thing called like Pinsight or some of those like basic tech online testers, just to verify that like what you're saying is true, right? That you're like, I'm proficient in SQL, and then you get in, you're like, I've actually been learning it the last 2 weeks. The hiring manager like doesn't want to kill you and me for hiring you. So there will be some tech rounds, but for the most part, behavioral is really heavy at Lumen. So again, branding yourself, selling yourself, being able to communicate well to where the recruiter leaves the interview being energized. I think it's super important. Any questions that I can answer for you all?
And there's like a lot, like you said, free certifications for cybersecurity that will differentiate you, like the CISSP, or like there's a lot of other little things you can do to kind of stand apart from, you know, the other candidates. And a lot of them are free.
So one of the things that we have available to people is National Cyber League. Right? You know about that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You know, I'm tired of talking to people about it. Would you please tell them what it is?
So I'm not uber knowledgeable on it. I typically don't hire. I've only hired 2 cybersecurity interns. I mean, completely transparent with y'all. But one of the interns did the cybersecurity league, and I mean, like he was a go-getter. Like had like this whole desk set up in his parents' home. Like he was incredible, and he actually joined our Black Lotus labs. This was 2 or 3 summers ago. But I mean, just speaking from the point of like his resume, like that was like one of the things that we touched on and kept going because it was so in depth with everything that he's done. He listed a lot of his projects, things like that. But again, your professors, the knowledge experts of your school, if they're telling y'all like, go do something, go do this, this is going to help you, it is, right? And like, even if you're thinking like, I'm exhausted, like I would just love a nap. Sometimes you just got to push through, right? Like this is your time to qualify yourself for a job. And whether or not going to that can help you get a job or get a job that pays you $60,000 versus $120,000 is going to be really important, right? So like what you're doing now determines your future. The grind. Don't stop. Drink coffee, go get a Red Bull, go to Starbucks. Y'all got the first one ever in town, you're fine.
Okay, thank you. I think that they have a class, so we need a question
Oh,
and answer time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, also, one thing, you know, if we, the topic, but I checked the history, then you changed from Central Link to the Lumen 2020.
Yeah.
This is a huge telecommunication company.
Yeah, so really big. We're constantly evolving. We just rebranded because, and this is an old PowerPoint, but everyone in the tech industry has blue, and we're like, bleh, that's glam, let's stand out. So we just transitioned our colors to orange and pinks and green. So, you know, Lumen's a really fun company. Feel free to scan this. This is going to put you on our, it'll create a profile in our recruiter database so that recruiters can reach out to you based on your background. It also lets my boss know that I talked to more than one student today and I don't get fired. So no pressure, but feel free to scan that if you want to be put on our job link. And I'm going to email you the links that Mark sent me, and we'll get those sent out so that y'all can continue to do research on Black Lotus Labs, Lumen, and more. But again, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and look forward to chatting with y'all. Best of luck as you enter into the real world. Okay, you guys? Thanks, guys. Feel free to chat with me and Jessica if you like.
I have few words. My name is Lakshmipati, representing STC Tech Club, along with my Raccoon team, Manjot, Africa, and Kina. Here,
Stand up and people can recognize.
yeah, you can stand up.
Oh, okay.
Kina. Yeah, apart from this, my relationship with Lumen is so special because I worked in India for around 3 years over there and supported.
This company?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When I joined, it was CenturyLink. During my tenure, after 7 months or so, it has been rebranded to Lumen as part of both industrial revolution. Yeah. So this is very good company. You have to try it surely, and you will get it soon. And I'm also willing to rejoin if I get the opportunity.
Don't.
And thank you, Mollie, for accepting my request, and happy to hear from you all these words and good information for our students. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us, you guys. Y'all are great.
Where's the gift for them?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, don't forget it. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
And
We put the $1 million inside.
yeah, this is for you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much. Well, I'm glad that you work for us in India.
Yeah.
Awesome. I work with a lot of our India team on a lot of the sales side and enablement side, but
I need to have a look into that.
oh, yes, yeah, we have a lot of our resources are out there. Wonderful. This is incredible.
Let me, I'll get that fixed and I'll get it resent out to y'all. I don't know why. Well,
For sure.
we use like
Oh, that's
an app,
exactly what I
and
was.
sometimes
I
it like
love
randomly like
said that
won't add
exact thing
things,
because
so
the
it's
way
super
I
fun.
landed 25 years
But thank y'all for
ago.
having me.
My career started with using like the public information, like the commerce, the Chamber of Commerce. I went to the Chamber of Commerce, went and found the person that worked at Quest. And I called them and I said, you know, tell me a little bit about this company. And I just asked them, just asking, what does this title do? Like you can send an email to Lumen teamers are really open to anybody sending in a private LinkedIn. You know, I noticed you're a technical security architect. I'm with the CityU program. What does like a day in the life of this role look like? You could just ask. I've had other students all across the world ask me, what does this look like? Can you introduce me to someone who knows about this kind of role before I even apply?
So everything that you're saying,
Yeah.
does it sound familiar?
It's like you think.
I mean, how many times have I asked you to do tabletop exercises?
Oh, those are fun.
Okay, I mean, hackathons are fun. Even doing like the National Cyber League, go do some of the cyber stuff because they need people. You need to know networks. I mean, one of our computer science women's workers who is now a cybersecurity engineer. They promoted. She interviewed. You know, she looked at the job description. She got a 25%
Increase.
Wow.
Okay, and 2 weeks later, I get a text message from her. She says, I've been doing this job for 2 weeks. And she says, now I know why cyber is so frustrating with software developers. All they want to do is release the work.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be secure, they just want to release it. So,
Yeah.
so Sam is putting security into our software courses. Because you've got to realize that they're not the end.
It's gonna come, well, I mean, 25, think about it, 25 years ago. I mean, like, it's not really a huge difference. I mean, there's a lot more going on, but back then, you know, it used to be a business would have like, appliances that secured their environments, right? Like an IDS, an IPS, and like some sort of device, right? That was the gateway. And then it started moving, like, I hate to say it's like, these network functions are now in the cloud because everything is everywhere all at once and everybody wants to work so disparate. It's crazy. It's crazy. And its core, it hasn't really, it's not that scary, right? It's like everybody talks about security, like the women that I work with and I mentor, they are, some of them are very, very concerned about going into the security. No, we want, you to feel comfortable. This is not as hard. You can learn it. You can learn it, you can grow, you can get these skills and you can put it into practice. And there's a lot of different roles. They're not just software developer roles. There are individual contributor roles like what Black Lotus Labs does. But if you don't want to do that all day long, you can work with people. You're a people person and that's what your value is and you're passionate about people, then come work taking your knowledge and help design networks, design security, initiatives, help solve, like use that same those tools, but in a different way. And they can be you can make money. You make money.
Really? I mean, the thing is that where you start is where you're going to stop. How many security people I know that started out in computer science and they bounced over here.
My degree is, I have a master's degree in journalism. I did a 5-year program, I want to say in 1998 in journalism, okay? And when I got my first job out of college, it was at AT&T and it was like a coordinator. But I was working with airline customers on putting phones on airplanes. Okay, but you understand, like the phone on airplane, the guy who made that, his name was Greg McCall. He was the inventor of, his brother was the inventor of the smartphone. It's only because we had phones on airplanes that we have what we have now. So can you imagine, like in my head, like then I'm like, oh, then I used to, this whole thing that Mark talks about, the lab. So one of the things I did was I was, I'm like a young person. I'm like, I asked the operations manager to show me his lab. And it's in this closet. He's like, yes, opens the door and he's like, this is how it works. And this amplifies the signal. It goes up in the air. It hits a cell tower and it, that's what you want to do. You want to have some hands-on experience, not just book smarts. It's not about books too much than it is about touching and feeling and asking, and it's a little bit different because then you have to have a competitive advantage over others. It's just a totally different situation. Anyway.
I want to say thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you for your coming. Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, I have to take it about you. So,
Yes.
Thank you.
I am hopeful. I'm on LinkedIn, Jessica Scott. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have to go and
Oh my
gosh, you're gonna sit and hit traffic. She's going to. Yes, that's me, Jessica Scott. Perfect. ICA and then Scott. It should say Jessica Scott. There were a lot of Jessica Scotts.
Congratulations. No, I want a good handshake.
Why am I here? Am I considered? No, that's not me. I'm not considered a lion, am I?
It's adjustment.
No, here, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna see if it
Is there any scope in, doing some
How you feel about that?